Hello,
Hey,
hello.
y'all.
Welcome back to our episode number 2. So we're on the road here. So welcome back to our second week of Girl, Let's Talk About It with Kila and B. The difference today is we got a little special something for y'all that will be,
Little
revealed.
razzle dazzle.
Right, the little razzle dazzle. Today's topic is: would you be a stay-at-home spouse? And this conversation was one that came up actually while I was at work. Sometimes we have some downtime, and I do have a coworker that works with me that is really, really I view her as a really good friend. Probably one of the only friends I have here in Dallas, and we talk a lot, right? We go back and forth and we bounce things off of each other a lot. And I know this conversation that we're gonna have today was one struck up by her based off a conversation that she had with someone. And I felt like it was only right to bring her on today to share her little piece of this conversation. Mainly because one, she brought it up, right? And then
Right.
two, she's a single person who can give us the single insight on it, right? Because it was an interesting conversation, and her and I having that conversation was coming from two very different parts, or two different very points of views. Me being married and her being single, and it's kind of one of those things of you thinking of as a grass green on the other side kind of thing. That's what the conversation turned into. But I thought, pause that. Let's put a pin in it and let's bring it on the show. So, I would like to introduce you all to my good friend from work. Her name is Miss Whitney. And here she goes. Hey, Whit.
Hey y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can. You look gorgeous, girl. Okay.
Thank you. Well, I would like to say thank y'all for bringing me on. Girl, let's talk about it. Thank you, B, for inviting me, and thank you, Kila, for sharing this space with me. I'm super excited to talk about it. I feel like, baby, let's talk about it. I feel like my perspective has changed, but let's. I'm excited to get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, and
Yeah.
Look, let's do
Okay.
it.
I'm about to
yeah,
say,
go
yeah,
ahead.
Whitney, go ahead. So give us the background on how the conversation came about to you when you presented it to me. So give us the background on the conversation you had.
I was talking to I was talking to a male friend of mine. Kind of, we were talking about the qualities that he has and why he feels like he would be a good husband, and kind of essentially like what being a man's man to him means and how he defines that, and how those qualities will essentially benefit me if we were to be married, right? And so within the conversation, he was describing how being a man's man is making sure that to wash my car every week, make sure I got gas, make sure that he pays all the bills, really making sure that I don't have any financial burden on me. And with that, he feels that I would have with having time back on myself without having to stress about the financial burden, that would allow me to flourish specifically in the home with cooking and cleaning and taking care of our kids, and I guess whatever extracurricular activities, if I wanted to start a business or work, but I wouldn't have to, because really he would want me to just focus on home. And so what I came to work, and I was talking to Brittany and one of our other ladies who is also married, and I just asked them if they were single and in my position, like how would they respond essentially.
So, what was your response, Brittany?
So,
Brittany, yeah.
So it was interesting, right? Because both myself and the other woman who is married, mind you, we're having this conversation at work, right? We're at work. We're away from our families. Me personally, I 100, 1,000, a million times enjoy being a mother. I love the time that I get to spend at home with my kids. And if that's all I had to worry about, I would be happy. I would be so happy. So and granted, here's the thing, right? We're working towards that in my household. Like my husband right now is working towards a real estate license. Once he get on with that, y'all, you better believe it. I will stay at home with these children. But that was my thought process, right? Because I thought about my kids first, and I thought about the time that gives me back to put into my household and put into my family. And I kind of felt where the gentleman was coming from, with telling her, like, I would rather, relieve those stresses from your life. So that way you can focus. Like, granted, it kind of gets muddy, right? Because then you get into those gender roles and relationship kind of conversation. And that's another part we'll get into in a later part of this talk today. But the initial thought process behind it is, I felt like, yeah, I would be a stay-at-home spouse, because it does allow me time for my creativity. It does me allow time for my children. It allows me time to do what I want to do. If my husband is taking care of everything else, you better believe I'm gonna be on a strict schedule. I'm gonna have these dishes clean, this food cooked. I'm gonna do it all. And I understand the traditionalism in it, like thinking back to like some of our great grandparents and our grandparents, like that stigma back then of like the husband goes out and he has a job and he brings home the money and the wife better have a dinner on the table and all of that. I think the problem with that in today is sometimes men expect all of those things from the woman today, when she's also getting up and going outside to do what he's doing too. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the conversation kind of gets toxic sometimes, right? Because you're expecting me to hold the traditional piece of the wife side from what you saw in your grandparents and your great grandparents. But I'm also doing something that my grandmother wasn't doing. Not my grandmother, because my grandmother was a hustler. She was out there working. My great grandmother, but even my great grandmother still worked too. But, in that era where the women didn't have to, because the husbands went out and did what they needed to do, and the wife was still home. Granted, I love having my own money, and I love, being able to provide for my family. But if given the choice, right? I think that's the biggest piece. If given the choice, would I? And I think that if I was given the choice, I would like to stay home. And that's where we've been. That's where we were with that.
So I see Aisha, I see her down in the comments. She said she don't think she could be a stay-at-home mother. Me at work, we stay at home.
Okay, I see. I do see. She said, here, I'm gonna put her comment up here. So she says,
fancy.
Yeah. So she said she felt like the walls were closing in on her, and I mean, it gives you a break from home. And I do understand that piece too, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you at home all day, every day, eventually you're gonna feel like you want to get out and get away from them kids and get out of the four walls, get out of the house. But in my thought process with it was, I got all the time in the world to get up out the house. If I'm a stay-at-home mom, that don't mean I literally have to stay at home. That just means I don't go to work, So if I want to go to the zoo with the kids go to school. When the kids are at school, that's me time. Like that was my thought process on it. Like, then I got time to pour into me. And if I'm 100,000% happy, then there's no reason why everybody else around me shouldn't be 1,100% happy.
True. I mean, I feel like I got a mixed feeling on it, because when I was on leave with my youngest and I was just at home not doing nothing, but that's also back then I was not in my creative mindset either then. So back then I was like, no, I need to do something. I need to, go get out the house or something like that. But now I'm like, I tell my husband, like, every day I go to work, I be like, I'm just waiting for you to tell me the date I can quit. I'm just waiting, because I'm already at home. I work from home, but I feel like I don't have time for the stuff I want to do. If that makes sense. Because like I still want to do like my content and all this like that, and I don't have time for it. And like I'm in school right now, it feels like everything is just the day's not long enough. Long story short.
Look, that's a big part of being a mom.
Right.
But Whitney, so you said earlier that your thoughts on it changed?
I guess it's just because I'm just in between. I'm just in between. It's not like I'm on one side or I'm on the other. I really like initially bringing up the conversation. Well, when we had the conversation, my response went into, okay, well, what does that look like for you, like in more detail? Because um, I'm just imagining things. I didn't come from a two-parent home. I came from a single-parent home. So I didn't see it play out, right? So a lot of the things are in my head and how it would go. And so like I'm kind of like, well, what about the days I don't feel like cooking? I'm like asking the hard questions. Like,
So yeah,
all
Because we
right,
all have
response though.
like what about those days? Like, are you really gonna be helping with these kids? Like, what, like because I understand you're giving me back time, and I would love to utilize that and be able just to have the freedom, ideally. But sometimes things don't always go as planned. And so, what about when you maybe have to work more hours to cover the bills because that is your responsibility, and then I'm not seeing you and now I'm drowning? Like, what happens then? Because sometimes, like, when I initially heard that, I kind of went into like, I'm gonna feel stuck, within my freedom. I may feel stuck because I have to keep up the role. I don't know. That's where my mind went to. But then listening to them, I was like, okay, this is a good benefit. We need different perspectives. Like, don't think so dark about it. Like, because I was like, this man trying to trap me.
Girl. I mean, but I do. So, dang it. So the other thing I was gonna ask you was, because you were saying how you would expect him, like with the kids and things like that. I think right now, like your mind, you went straight to kids. You're single right now with no kids. Girl, so you gotta, right, that's what I'm saying. So if you were given that opportunity, right, and you guys get married, there are no kids automatically, right? So there's gonna be time between the time of you being like, it's not like instant mom. He's single with no kids, you're single with no kids. So that kids piece of it, like if you even look at that as like a distant future thing, right? Because even after marriage, like kids don't necessarily have to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? Even if so, let's say y'all did get, married and conceived post marriage on the honeymoon or whatever, and you still got 9 months at home by yourself with no child at home, or even then, like just, I don't know. For me, I was just thinking in terms like, man, if I was single, I put myself in your shoes when I asked that question. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got kids, I ain't got nothing to worry about but me. But I'm in this relationship, and then at the same time, it's like, okay, if the only other thing I have to worry about is making sure he good because he making sure I'm good, then I'm sign me up.
Right. And you also gotta think about, like, when you cooking, you only cooking for 2 people. It's only 2 people. So look,
you better Hello Fresh.
Well, the kids came up so quickly because he is older than me. So he's 32, I'm 29, and that's something that he's looking forward to, right? So like, and me, I don't kind of want to lead with the easy questions or the honeymoon stage. Like, I want to ask the things that I'm afraid of in the relationship or with choosing this. I want to ask it so that I can already know this is what you are going to expect of me. So when I'm saying yes, I'm saying yes to all of it, right? So yeah, I don't have time to be cookie cornering around the subject.
Right. Nah, you got right to it. Like you said in the beginning, the meat and the potatoes, you got right to it. Like, no, I need to know, yeah, we good for these first 9 months, 10 months, 1 year. But after that, when these kids are in the picture, what's the plan? You don't want to wait until they in the picture to find out what the plan is. So no, that makes sense. Being proactive, see?
Yeah, then also you gotta think, like, do you have a savings just in case you lose your job and stuff like that? Like those type of questions. But
that's a good question. I need to write that down.
And you want to know what was funny? Because when we had this conversation, we were talking about the other married woman that was in the conversation with us at work. We were talking about well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be giving you money like an allowance or whatever. Girl, that would be going into savings, a separate savings so fast as a just in case fund.
Right. I think for me, I would have to be doing some form of work. Like, I guess really using that to invest in whatever business or, really tapping into my creativity. But it's kind of making sure that I have some form of income coming in, right? Because I want to be there in case if something does go wrong. But also, I feel like fully putting the expectation on him just because he's taking it off of me. I don't want to put it all on him.
Right.
You know, at least I can plan the vacations because I like to travel. And baby, we're not gonna worry about that, okay?
Right. Like, baby, don't worry. Hey, guess what? Just take off. You took care of us on everything else while I had all this extra time on my hands. I went ahead and planned us a 2-week vacation in Bali or whatever, you know. So no, but yes, that's another part of it, right? That's the taking care of him piece of it because he's taking care of you. So that kind of like pushes me over into the part I was talking about earlier about the gender roles in a marriage or in a relationship. Like, so I don't even know if I should talk about this because it's all over the place right now. Because I was just about to say something about them dang on lists. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Them dang on lists.
I'm so sick of these lists. I'm so sick of these lists on Facebook.
But and it's ridiculous. Reading through some of it right now, like I'm really sitting here like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not in this dating pool. Because I think back, like some of the dates me and my husband went on, I'm like, we had fun at a chain restaurant. We went to the movies on one of our first dates, and I married this man. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like those type of expectations that people be having these days are just wild to me, right? But look, I'm like, I don't know which way I want to go with this right now. If I want to go into the gender roles in a relationship, or if I want to get into the list. But I feel like they come together at some point, right? Because these expectations that people be having about, oh, you should be able to do this and do that before y'all even in a relationship. Like, what are y'all going to be expecting from the relationship once you're in it? You know what I mean? Like, that's the part.
To be continuously spoiled. If that's something that I currently do, I don't know. I'm like, if that's something, I feel like people are so focused on the material things. I mean, at the same time, it's like if that's how I currently treat myself, if whenever I do my, solo dates or my girls nights out, if I'm eating at 5-star restaurants, or if that's the type of lifestyle that I'm currently providing for myself, I would like somebody who is aligned with that potentially, right? If that's something you consistently do. But like everybody else, y'all regular folk who is on there acting like you can't go to the Cheesecake Factory.
Right. When I seen
Papa Do's was on the list. Papa Do's
was on the list?
Megan Thee Stallion said she loved Papa Do's.
Or like the Waffle House did
Sierra and Russell.
And I thought that was so funny. I feel like that's like trolling. I feel like Sierra was trolling.
Low-key, like that was Sierra's prayer for her husband, and she's like, "Well, I eat at Waffle House with my husband for a special occasion."
Baby, they shut that Waffle House down.
Look, now Russell about to be having women out here like the only way you can take me to that restaurant is if you buy it out.
That's some stuff they would do. That sounds about right.
Yeah, but like these I feel like they're unrealistic expectations.
They are.
But I feel like that's coming from me. Granted, I'm not that woman who I go 5-star everywhere all the time, but seeing the people who have these expectations, and I'm looking at it like, well,
most of these people that do that, those females that can't afford to go to the restaurant by themselves. So it's just like, I understand if y'all like dating for a while and it's a special occasion and you like, you know what, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
But like for a first date, like I'm cool with just back then Friday used to be my favorite restaurant back then. Take me to Fridays, some movies, and let's go home and chill. I am cool with that. Look, now like let's just watch a movie in the house and get some wine. I'm good with that. That's my
right
now. But it's just like I don't understand it. They doing too much.
It is. They are.
Right.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, actually, when you said Fridays, and that just pinged in my head. One of my first dates with my husband was at Fridays, where so we call ourselves doing this double date. Kila and Trill, her husband, they came with me on this date. The three of us were at Fridays before my husband James showed up. And I'm sitting here trying to give them the rundown, like, all right, Trill, brother, I'm gonna need you You know, I'm gonna need you to vet this dude for me, you know, grill him, do all of this stuff. And here I am thinking like, yeah, he finna come in here and Trail finna give him the rundown and he gonna have my back and all this other stuff, right? And this was at a Friday. So this is like maybe our third date or something. Why he walk in and Kila husband already knew him? Thomas, what up, bro? I'm sitting here like, bro, no. You failed the mission. Trail, what happened? And I'm sitting here. Apparently, James knew everybody at the table. He knew Kila.
He didn't know me. He knew our dad. So it was just like, he was like, you look familiar. I'm like, okay, what? Like, okay. And he was like, you know Bob? I'm like, you mean Todd? He was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, that's my dad. So he knew my dad and my husband. And then now he was dating me. So it was just like, oh, is this not a small world?
And small it is. But I was definitely sitting there like, what you mean she looked familiar? Where is this going? But no, but I say that because that's how we started, right? Very humble dates, because that's what we were doing, right? We wasn't, Now, granted, don't get me wrong. I love 5-star. I go 5-star. I do it on my own dime and all of that. Even before my husband, you know what I mean? Like I had the luxurious life that I wanted as a single woman, and I was able to do it for myself. But that wasn't necessarily my expectation for the dude I was dating. You know what I mean? Now, granted, if he could, then great. But if he couldn't, then, I mean, there's other things to do. Not only that, but how are you going to get to know this person if you only looking at the materialistic portions of it?
Right. That part.
Like,
yeah. And I feel like when the list first started, like, I think it was places not to take a girl on a first date. And I feel like the context of the conversation, like, matters so much, because it's like, it's a first date. Like, I mean, I feel like the coffee shop, some people were okay with that. But, you know, if you're getting anything outside of like the coffee shop, or, you know, putting a little effort into it, I feel like that's all that matters, because you are getting to know this person. Like, they wanted people to drop a bag on the first date. I don't know you. Girl, I gotta vet you to spend my money with you the same way. Like, we do them. I like, you know, but it is understandable. Like, if you treat yourself to want to be treated, like, you know, but there's other type of restaurants. Like, I don't know. There's other local restaurants. Maybe, you know, taking a lady to your favorite local spot that she doesn't know about, but it's still not 5-star or like super upscale. But I don't know. I just felt like they were tripping. I was asking everybody. I was stopping everybody. Like, what y'all think? Because this is wild to me.
It is, though.
If you really think about it, say if this guy don't even like her, like, then he's like, oh, you look good, but then he actually have a conversation with her, and the conversation is not on the level that he want to be at, or he might be up here, but you might be down here, and with the mindset and everything like that, then you're like, man, I just waste all this money.
Exactly.
No, it ain't, because at the end of that date, he's gonna be looking for compensation in another way. So to alleviate all of that, how about y'all just go somewhere and get to know each other first? Because then women be sitting here like, oh, and he thought he was spending it up. Well, he just spent $300 on your meal, not to mention whatever else y'all did as a date. And don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning that behavior from a man to say, oh, because I spent money on you that I'm owed this. It's just it would be naive of us to sit here and not point out that elephant in the room too, right? Because even though it ain't right, there are a very vast majority of men who
think like
feel that way.
Do.
If they spending the money like that, then they feel like, well, I need to get something out of this, and it's not right. But that's the reality that we live in today. Yeah. You know, so
yeah. But a video on, I think it was social media, and this guy had flew her out, and she was like, "You not touching me." And he was like, girl, I just spent all this money on you, and you, girl, go. So he's like, I'm not doing anything. He was like, you can get out and everything like that. Kicked her out and everything. So look, you sometimes
that's right. You always supposed to have your own fun. Exactly. But you want to play dumb. Like, I had a conversation with one of my male friends, and he essentially said, yeah, like, after a couple of those dates, or even one of those dates, depending on how much money he spent, like, yeah, he is looking for like a little bit, because he's like, now I got to budget in these expensive dates into the budget. Like,
Right.
and what am I getting out of it? Or, yeah, if you fly me out, like, and you not spending nothing, like, he's going to want something else from you. Like, let's not be stupid, or, you know, fly yourself out. But now you trying to get a free trip
out.
and not give up the cookies, Miss Ma'am.
Right, because now that was your choice. Like, honestly, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like, so for me, coming up, my mom would always tell me, like, just make sure I got enough money to cover myself for anything. Whether it's like my living situation, whether it's like if we're going on a date somewhere, I'm looking at the menu. I'm not ordering nothing that I can't pay for out my pocket myself. Because, I really hope none of these people join this live. But like, I've gone on dates with people where I felt like, okay, you know what? This date is not going where I want it to go, or this conversation isn't going the way I want it to go, right? And this person is talking some things that I'm not vibing with. I would politely excuse myself. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I will go pay for my portion of the bill and leave.
Really, girl?
Sure did. I sure did.
And right.
But like, I'm like, damn, I was a different type of person. Like, I would be too mad at me, like, this person got up and left. Like,
have you ever got a text message after that, or like, girl, where you at, or anything like that?
Oh no, I initiated the message. I'm already gone. Send the message like, hey, you know what? I just want to thank you for your time. You know, unfortunately, I did have to excuse myself. You know, but my portion of the bill is paid. But I hope you have a good night.
Wow.
Period.
That part.
Period.
Wow.
Because
that's how you do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think there was only maybe one that I ghosted, and that backfired on me, because then I got blown up, like they were spamming my social medias. So I learned from that one. I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna ghost. So I just up and bounced and paid my piece, and I left, didn't say nothing, and that backfired. So when I did end up in a situation where I did have to exercise that right again, I was like, okay, I'll at least be courteous enough to let them know that I am going to go. Like, that I am gone, I should say, that I'm gone.
Right.
Because, you know, I think you have expectations that I'm not willing to fulfill, right? Because that's not my intent of this date. That's not where I wanted to go. You're not really who I thought you were. Because let's be honest, dudes be lying. Girls be lying too. But they be making themselves seem away like, you know, you're this, I don't know, this particular person made themselves to be like this, like scholar, well put together, like gentleman. But the things that they were saying were coming off very misogynistic, very condescending. And I was just like, ooh, maybe not. Like, maybe not, you know? So, and I'm just saying, like, okay, yeah, no. And then it was like even things that he was saying in the date that were insinuating there was going to be like a nightcap, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, you got expectations. Just because we in this restaurant, you think I can't afford this myself? Let me go ahead and take care of myself.
Well, he should respect that part, because other females, look, they were just got up and left and not paid nothing. Look, so at least you did that part.
And girl, that was my way of trying to have a little boss flex move. Y'all know how, Kila, you know how I used to be. I used to be real big on, you know what, I'm done, cut off, and I have a little boss flex real quick, because I've always been one that's like, I got my own. I can hold my own. So I need to be like now where I'm at now, I love the fact that I was able to get into like this soft girl era where I ain't gotta be the boss Brittany that I've always had to be.
Right.
But I did not hesitate to flex my boss muscles when I had when a situation arose where it was like, oh, okay, you think this that, you gone. Because they used to try you. They will try. And
they will try you. They will try you. I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Right. Kudos to you, because I'm sure, like, look, I would have sat there like,
I would have been playing pretend.
Look.
You said what?
I would have been pretending.
Like, I felt like Mr. Krabs. You know them. You know the memes of Mr. Krabs when everything is like spinning around them. I'm like, whoa, this is not where I want to be. This is not where I thought this was going to be. But yeah, girl, listen, I'm just glad I ain't out there in that dating pool now. Like,
it'll be a bad.
I'm sorry, but listen, I feel like you navigating this dating pool pretty damn well, because you be dodging some bullets, girl. You know how
I mean, that's about it. I would like to go on more dates. Any contenders in the comments?
Look, we'll get some emails later like, hey, so I saw that Miss Whitney was single and looking to mingle, so slide her my number or something.
I'm not trying to go to Waffle House, but I don't mind cheesecake or pie dough.
Right, I'm on that level.
Listen, I remember a time when we used to be like, oh, cheesecake? Like, that's where I'm just like, where did time go? But you want to know something? Okay. I feel like, so my daughter be telling me about like stuff at school and things like that. And I feel like a lot of that has come from like these expectations nowadays, because I don't know if it's because we're in this like inflation period and everybody had money after post-COVID or whatever. But she's like, Mom, these kids be in school with Dior shoes. And I'm like, what? So it's like, so they're coming like, now granted, I think here's the problem, right? Some of us parents, because we be spoiling these kids and then we introduce them to these lifestyles of certain things and they be feeling like, okay, well, it's a given. Like everybody should be able to do this. And they think that they should have 5-star. They think that somebody should be buying them Dior shoes and think that somebody should be buying them a Tiffany necklace, because us parents sometimes be giving a little bit too much to our kids too early. But there are some grown women out there who I know for a fact their parents wasn't doing that to them. So I don't know why they're acting this way, because realistically,
social media.
Yeah.
Social media. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody want to flex on the gram.
Knowing they're getting it from DHgate, and nothing wrong with DHgate. But
talk about it. Talk about it.
Ain't nothing wrong with DHgate. That's what it be. So at the end of the day, like y'all ain't got to flex, because I feel like it do be the social media, because back then we didn't have social media. So we was not trying to do what other people doing. And then now y'all seeing people that has money and y'all not on that level. Then now you long story short, I ain't feeling it.
I ain't feeling it. And next, because I think the consensus is regular women, real women who are not materialistic, who are not shallow, could really appreciate a real date where you can actually take a woman somewhere nice, and it could be sentimental. You can take them, like, nice dates are not always super expensive. You know what I mean? Right. There are plenty of activities and things to do that are romantic, that are genuine, come with genuine intent, that don't break the bank. And it shows a lot of effort. Like my husband took me on a gondola ride and I thought that was like so sweet. We were getting serenaded by the like gondola driver person, and it was like such a super cute, sweet date. And like, I'm thinking like there's plenty of people who can do things like this, married or not. It does not cost $1 million to woo a woman. And if a woman needs $1 million date to be wooed, then maybe that ain't the woman for you.
Right. And then it's and conversation. Like a lot of people don't know how to have conversation. If you looking to date a person, don't you think you need to know them and what they about? Like that whole thing we was talking about on Facebook with that lady and her wife, that she had scammed her. How you was married with somebody for 6 years and did not know that was going on? But if y'all was sitting down having conversations and deep conversations, then that you would have knew what was going on.
There would have been some type of flag, something that would have been a giveaway. Now, like, granted, there are some
jail. Like, she didn't know that she was in jail. Like she went to jail. Like, how you didn't know that?
Right. There's some gaps.
She didn't ask those questions. She didn't ask the right questions.
Right. Y'all need to take from Whitney, because she over here with she asking the tough questions that's below the surface. You know what I mean? Because I think that's the thing. Like you said, people don't know how to converse. They don't know how to sit and have a true conversation that's that's below the surface level. You know what I mean? They want to be so, what's your favorite color? We're not in high school.
Or where we going? You gonna go take me shopping to Gucci or something? They not having
how much do you make? What do you do? What do you do for a living? How much, what? I've never been on a day where I asked the man how much money you make.
Oh, that part.
Like, because if a man asks me how much money I make, flags, why are we talking about my income?
I do feel like, so at what point do you talk about it? Because you got to talk about it.
Right. So here's my thought process on that. If you are spending genuine time with this person, eventually you will begin to see the patterns of their lifestyle. You'll begin to see the things that they do on a daily. You'll begin to see their schedule. You'll begin to see what they have time for and what they're doing in most of their day. So it can kind of give you a general idea of how busy this person is, what they do for a living, and how they spend their money and how they spend their time. If you guys are having frequent conversations, like, because I'm pretty sure if you think to the gentleman that you've been conversing with, you could probably tell me a little bit about him as far as like how he spends his time and maybe how he even spends his money. It can kind of give you an idea of, okay, maybe he can't afford this lifestyle, maybe he can't. But when people are super secretive and you can't, after talking to somebody for weeks and months, and you can't pinpoint, what they do with their time, like, I ain't talked to you in 2 days. Where you been? Because that's a real thing that people be dealing with in the dating field. And it's like, you just went ghost for a couple of days and they just pop back up like, oh yeah, I got a lot going on. Da, 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 da. Well, what's going on? What's happening? Fill me in. If we're getting to know each other, then I think I would kind of have a little bit of insight to know a little bit about what's going on in your life. Not to say you got to tell me your business, but if y'all really getting to know each other, I don't think that part would be invasive. You know what I mean?
You also think about it, y'all dating first. You dating first before. I feel like when that money conversation come up, it should be like, we together. But at the end of the day, like you said, knowing their patterns and everything like that. So you're not only talking to one person at the time when you dating. I'm just saying, until y'all commit to one another, then you be like, okay, let's have this conversation. And then by the time you get to that point, knowing where y'all want to be at, you should already know their patterns. You should know what they can afford and what they buying, what they purchasing for themselves and things like that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I used to work with some officers, and like one of them told me that he tells his daughters that you're supposed to ask all the hard questions within the first 3 days. So that's about like how you want to parent. You talk about finances, and then anything else, which I feel like it's hard. But I do feel like even before you together, because that's like what I would do. And now I'm like, I'm in love with you, and now I'm just down. I'm down in the mud. Yeah, baby, I'm not trying to be in the mud no more. Right. So we need to have the conversation. Like I guess maybe when you narrow it out, like, or maybe before, like, I guess when maybe that's the only person, like you said, that you're seeing, but still, like, before we're really committed into it, having that. And even if you are in the mud, like, how do you see yourself getting out of that? Because even for me, the conversation around finances was difficult. But like, how are you going to share your life with somebody if you're not able to talk about how you're going to spend your money?
Right.
So
no, I agree with that. I feel like at some point it does need to be had. The conversation needs to be had. But I feel like in the courting stage, is that the right time while you're courting? Because if you think about, like she said, when you're courting or you're dating, a lot of times you're not like your attention isn't necessarily only on one person because you are courting, right? Until y'all make that decision to say, okay, we're exclusive. It's just me. It's just you. I'm no longer entertaining anyone else. Now is that the time to say, okay, look, so I'm choosing you, right? I'm choosing, let's do this. Let's do us. Here's what I have or bring to the table. Is that when that conversation is had, or is it had before you even choose that person? Because then is that truly choosing that person for who they are, or are you choosing that person for the finances?
That part. Look, I've been out the dating scene so long. Look, it changed since I've been in the dating scene. But look, I agree.
I feel like it's just making sure that you're aligned.
Yeah.
So I do feel like, and where I'm at right now, I feel like that's having the conversation before I choose you. And it's not to say that that's going to be a reason why I don't choose you. It's just that we should be able to have that conversation. My stuff isn't all the way together either, so
that means Oh, go ahead.
I said, you also got to think about it. Is you gonna sit there and talk to someone that can't fill your needs when y'all just date, like y'all just talking? If they not even getting to the point that y'all talking, then you already know that person's not for you. So I feel like, you know, if y'all already talking about y'all gonna be together, then you know this person already, and you comfortable with that person, and you know what that person can do for you at that point. So I feel like that's around the time you should start asking. That's just my opinion. But what you was gonna say, B?
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, pretty much you summed it up. Basically, that's how we
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, like you really you hit the nail on the head, because literally it's just like, okay, well, at some point, like while y'all are in that courting phase, this person you were drawn to this person in some way, to the point where you're like, okay, it's gonna be us. And like you said, if y'all having enough conversations, you should be comfortable enough to accept me how I am, just like I'm gonna accept you how you are, and that could be financially and everything else. Now, that just made me think about this. I believe I probably shared this with both of y'all. It was a gentleman who's a therapist who had a client that was a male who said that his woman wouldn't submit to him. And he has an Instagram. Oh, I wish I knew his name, because I will plug him right now, because I feel like y'all should go follow him. When I find his name and everything, I'll share it in the comments or something later on.
I'm like, we can most definitely on the run back put it down in the information.
Yeah, but he talks about these 5 pillars of like these 5 foundations, like when looking for a partner, looking for yourself, like, you know, just measuring how you measure up to these 5 fundamentals. And those fundamentals were financial, mental, emotional. It was financial, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And like, I really like the fact that he has everyone look at themselves before trying to hold their partner up to those foundations, right? Where do you measure up to these 5 fundamentals, right? And then, like, I think that's an eye opener for a lot of things. And I feel like, and today, if more people understood the fact that like if you really understood the fundamentals of the foundations of what you need in yourself, then it would be easier to find your partner, because then you can more easily align with what you need, or more easily align with who I should say, not even what, but who fits you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if you are on this journey to build yourself up, you know, mentally or emotionally or spiritually, and you get with a person who is not there, it's going to be nothing but chaos. Because at the same time you're trying to grow and build yourself, this person's going to do nothing but disrupt that growth. So like, when I find stuff, y'all, I'm gonna share it, because it was enlightening to me, because it had me over here thinking like, okay, where am I? You know, where do I measure up on these fundamentals? And then it helped me be like, okay, well, that kind of enlightened me to feel like, okay, there's some steps that I need to take for myself to make sure that I move correctly in my relationship, because I'm not perfect. You know, we can't be out here expecting perfection when we ain't got it together ourselves. But what was the other? So I know we kind of went into the list because we're talking about gender roles in the relationship, and we just like spiraled into that. But that's how these conversations go.
Right.
Because this is a conversation. So yes. But the gender roles in a relationship. So if you were a stay-at-home, back, like we circling all the way back around, if you were a stay-at-home spouse, and do you feel like there should be specific gender roles in the household? Like you were saying earlier, that what happens if you don't feel like cooking? Like what happens if you don't feel like doing something? If you were a stay-at-home spouse, would we be obligated at that point? Is there an obligation as a stay-at-home spouse to fulfill specific like gender roles in the marriage or the relationship?
That's a good question. Because I know, like, with me and my husband right now, we split. Like he could, like, I know for like some things that he do that I won't do. Like he put gas in my car. I don't do that. I haven't touched a gas pump in 7 years. I don't do that. So, but it's like cooking. He likes to cook, and I'm cool with that. I don't know if it's gonna be like if when we do get to that point, because I'm gonna speak in existence. When we do get to that point, then if I'm gonna be the one cooking all the time, cleaning, things like that. But I feel like I would take over that role just due to I have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus I want him to have energy and stuff like that to go out to work. You know what I'm saying? And have that mindset and comfortable and things of that sort. So that's my opinion on it.
I feel like
it's the evil laugh.
Yeah, because I feel like there is like this notion of you have to conform to the gender role. And I feel like there will be, if I'm honest with myself, like, and when you talk about meeting up to those 5 things, when I think about my mental, my physical, and my spiritual, if I'm honest with myself, there may be days when I don't show up. I may need help. Like, and the help might not have to come for you, but if you're feeling like everything is supposed to be on me, I'm not the one for you. That was my response to him, actually, to that.
I heard something where it was an older couple and they was married for a long time, and they said it's never going to be 50-50. And those times when you're not feeling yourself, your spouse should be able to, step into that role. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, and it like, that's how me and my husband are now. Like, it's some days that he get off work, he's like, I need you to go get the kids from school. I'm tired. Then I would step in to do that. You get what I'm saying? So if
right.
you need to find someone that can balance with you. It's always not going to be, you might be 40 this day, he might be 60. It might be the other way around. So you have to find someone that is capable of doing that. Because doing it all by yourself, like when it comes down to the gender roles, you think about it, if I'm down, you're not gonna help me, then look, what are we doing?
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just something that you just do. Like, if I'm staying at home and you at work, then I'm not just gonna lay around the house all day and sleep all day every day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I might give me a day or two out the out the time frame, but I feel like they should understand that if you talking about if I'm doing everything 100% or like the whole month, and I need you to take over for 2 days, they should be able to jump right in with no problem.
Yeah, I think when having the conversation though with men, because they are so logical, and sometimes it is. I take it by what they say. So like, I don't want to be like, oh, I can read in between the lines of that. I'm asking it because I feel like that's how that's how they gonna get it. And so that's why I'm like, I guess for me, I take it all the way to the full extreme because I don't want my identity to fall only around me being a mother or a wife. And I feel like those are the next steps in, after marriage, even after the honeymoon stage, whenever. I know that is the progression because all things should have growth. But I don't want to have like, just get stuck behind that. There's like this little Justin the boy or whatever, he posted, hey sis, it's been a minute. Like you look like you should dress up or go out because it's been a minute. You've been, doing work and mom lately, and it's like I don't want that to only be me. And I feel like sometimes when men get their house and their wife, that's all they see instead of me behind being the mother of these kids and your wife.
I remember I was that hot thing you wanted at one point. And now I'm just your wife. Like, I get you. I feel it. Like, feeling like, okay, I still want to have my identity and be able to, be me at the end of the day. I think that kind of rolls into like the next part of this conversation with the name change in the marriage, because I literally had this whole persona. I was B Gates. Everybody knew me as B Gates, right? And I got married and B Gates is gone now, right? Like, B Gates is just gone. And we were having this conversation around if it's necessary to change your name after marriage. Now, Kila's been married for 7 years now?
7 years, yep.
And you didn't do a legal name change, right?
I did not. I didn't. I'm still like, at the beginning we did it for our reasons why we kept it that way, and then after time it was just like, I'm your wife, like, and the world know that we're together, like on my socials and like that, like everything like that. My last name is Russell, but like on my documents it's still Whitaker. So but we have that bond and that understanding. We cool with it. But then, you have other people that's like, nah, I need that last name.
Yeah.
Be you like, look, I'm going all in.
Yeah.
Well, because that's what I thought. That was,
too.
huh?
Also the hassle of doing it. Because then you say you gotta change everything.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a lot.
Yeah. Because I literally went through it. But for me, like my husband wasn't pressing it. It was more so me. I'm like, no, like for me, it was like, I did not want to give him another. I didn't want to have another. I didn't want my child to have his last name before I did. You know what I mean? Like for me, I felt like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. And I guess that's just the traditional list in me, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I mean, you get married and you change your last name. And like, I felt like that was me showing my husband, like, hey, I am proud to be your wife. I'm proud to wear your name. And to give it to our children, you know, like that was me trying to show to my husband, like, you know, I guess my investment, as though saying yes and putting on the ring and walking down the aisle and doing all the other things was not enough. But for me, it was my own personal feeling like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Let me go through all the steps. And y'all, I'm over here like, I gotta change my name on something else. Then I got folks sending me checks with this that still say maiden name, and now I gotta go to the bank and change. Like it was a lot. I did do it, you know, but like it was a lot of hassle to get done. If asked if I would do it all over again, yeah. I would still take my husband's last name. Because at the end of the day, I just still feel like it's me wearing that badge to tell my husband, I'm proud to be yours. This is beyond me wearing your ring. This is me wearing your name. This is me honoring you. I guess I'd be all for like honoring family and honoring that type of traditional foundation that I like. This is us. I am you. We are one. You know how the whole thing when you say your vows, like this is that. So, and there's nothing wrong with not doing it at all, because I've seen a lot of people either way, and the relationship, taking the last name or not taking the last name does not make the relationship last longer or shorter or anything like that. It's all individual.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, because it was always the intent to change my last name. It just time went by and by and by. I'm like, damn, I would have to go. Do I have to go all the way back to Illinois to do all this stuff? But it's the process. Did I wait too long? And that's what happened. It was like after a year, it was just like, man, I gotta do all this, and then I'm like, I'm gonna do it this year, and then the year come where we start lifing, and then the next year and the next year. But when I got married to my husband, it was always the idea for me to change my last name. We had the conversation about me changing my last name, but over time,
you saw what went into it. It was like, do I really want to jump through them hoops?
It got to the point. It was just like, at this point, my husband's like, you know, it is what it is. Like, we're 7 years in, and you know, and I'm like, do I have to go back? Look, I hate going back to Illinois. Y'all seen the other episode. I do not like going back to Illinois. So if I have to go to Illinois, I'm like, do I have to go to Illinois to do all that? And I think that's why I asked B the other day. I'm like, did it take a lot to change your last name? I feel like that's a lot.
Well, like, and so I think what it is like in the process of doing it, it's not a lot. Like, because I knew, okay, once we sign these certificates, like after your wedding, they give you this like packet of stuff that you have to have the officiant sign. They give you a checklist of all the places you got to send in this marriage certificate to get your name changed and get all the things started, right? And they start off with like the Social Security office, because then they mail you a whole new Social Security card with your new last name on it. And it pretty much becomes a whole new identity for yourself almost. It's just with the same social. So like I started the process all at one time. I just sent off whatever I need to send off to all the departments at once. And then they all got back to me what I needed, right? Went to the DMV, got my new driver's license and everything. But then the only thing that becomes troublesome, I guess, is when you realize, okay, I did all of these things, but now there's a few things I fell through the cracks. Now I got to go to the bank and do this. Now I got to go and change all my credit cards, and I got to send all these things to my credit cards. And sometimes they'll give you a whole new credit card number. So now all your auto pays, it's like a domino effect. And that's where it becomes troublesome. But actually doing the name change and submitting for it and getting it done is not the problem. It's the things that happen sequentially from it, you know? So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
It's a task.
It is a task. But it's a task I'm glad I already went through. I got it done. I am Mrs. Boyland. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it was
I'm
just.
so.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm just on the fence. I'm on the fence about it. I guess I'm on the fence about a lot. I guess that's probably why I'm still single. I'll be telling people that. I I don't know. I feel like I lost my mom and I don't know my dad. So I feel like all I have is like my name. And I guess it is like changing your identity, but I thought about like hyphening it. And I know like, but then at the same time it's like you don't want to take my last name like to the man too,
Right.
I feel like I'm just gonna have to go with my gut. Or hyphenate it, but even hyphenating it sometimes isn't a good compromise. They want you to just go ahead and fully change the name.
Well, even hyphenating, you still got to go through the same process.
So,
but yeah.
Never mind.
No, keep your compromise. Look, it's crazy because my name, the only thing that I really have to do. So say if like when we had purchased the home, they was like, how we know we married. All we had to do was show our, marriage license, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So it was not going through the whole. I don't know, but I still be telling my husband today. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna get it done one day. It's gonna be done one day. It's just, look, I'm gonna just schedule a time and go to Illinois and be like, just suck it up and go to Illinois.
Yeah.
But do you really have to go to Illinois to do it? I don't think you have to go to Illinois to do it. I submitted everything that I needed. Like, I didn't go to no office or no place to do it. Like, when they gave me the checklist of stuff to do, like, I just did it. Like, your marriage license is, I guess your marriage license is for the state of Illinois, but it's still like, Illinois doesn't handle the Social Security office. That's federal.
Right.
And once you get your Social Security number, look, I'm over here trying how the podcast can turn into how to change your last name. But no, I don't think you have to go back to Chicago to do the name change. If it's something you really want to do. Because I
talked about it. It's crazy because we talked about it this year. I'm like, I'm gonna still do it. And he was like, this point, look, it is what it is. I know you my wife. Look. Everybody know you minds. It's Look, that's what it is. We know what it is. Look, right? Like
boy, you ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. Just buckle down.
Yeah.
Look, I tattooed the last name on me. Look, it's there.
Right. I was about to say you do wear it either way. You don't wear it on your ID, but you wear it.
I wear it every day with the ring too. So it is.
Yeah. I see, but I love how these conversations kind of grow into something and then grows into something else and grows into something else. It's true organic conversation. And I love the fact that you joined the group to chat with us today, Whitney, because you gave us some insight on the single side of things instead of just having these, I was going to say, married hags, but
these married folks
there. But, it just gave outside perspective because it's been a while for us, like, from the dating pool. And, look, we're going to find you somebody that tuned in somewhere. Email us if you're interested. But no, I feel like it was a good conversation. And, like, at the bottom of it, at the end of it all, would you be a stay-at-home spouse? There's tons of different perspectives. Everybody has their different reasons. Like, we had the young lady who joined the comments earlier, and she had her, like, no, like, I don't want to be locked in or feeling stuck at home. And, there's a lot of different perspectives to it. There's no right or wrong answers, whatever works for you and your spouse. But, look, as a married woman who out here going to work every day, turn me up. Like, I know my husband go watch this. Like, if you don't shut up, like.
Like I tell you, every day I'm at work, I be like, I work. I'm just waiting for the day you tell me I can quit. Just get that same day. I would just call him like, you know what? Where do I need to see this equipment to? Where do I need
to
listen? Treat it like I treated them dates. Just pay the tab and send them a text message. Like, I'm gone, by the way. You already already sent stuff back. By the way, there's a tracking number for your equipment.
And Amazon. Amazon package, and thank you.
But Whitney, do you have any last words of wisdom for our girlies here on Let's Talk About It?
Not wisdom. Well, thank y'all so much for having me again on the show. I feel like I could be a stay-at-home wife. I just want to make sure I get the details.
Right.
I want to make sure that we're aligned. That's really it, because it's really the gender roles in being a stay-home wife that bother my spirit. And so it's really getting past that. But I do want all them benefits. So I ain't about that. No. But yeah, no. Make sure you ladies stay tuned in. They have a lot of good things coming with Girl Let's Talk About It, more conversations like this. So y'all make sure y'all stay on the lookout for them, for real.
Look, I appreciate that plug. She gave us that little pluggity plug at the end.
Right.
Well, next week, I believe our topic is, when is it okay to cut people off, or is it okay to cut people off?
Look, I can't wait to that topic. Oh my God.
It's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That one gonna get a little touchy for me, because as y'all can see, I kind of cut a lot of people off.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But yeah, so tune in next week. I believe that is November 5th. For our episode 3 of Girl Let's Talk About It, where we'll be talking about, is it okay to cut people off?
Got on.
All right, bye guys.
Okay.
Bye.